All right. The thing I like most about Philly is a lot of historical value in the city, with the old buildings and all the history. And I love the food as well, and there's a lot to do in the city. It's like the first capital of the United States. That's probably why they call it City Brother Love. And my fraternity's headquartered actually in Philadelphia. They chose this location because it's the city of brotherly love. So that's another neat thing.
So there's lots of different ethnicities that came to Philly, and although they call it the city of brotherly love, I feel like all those different ethnicities coming have caused such a racial tension that's still really relevant in Philly today. Love, and there's a lot of love here, there really is, but there's still separate neighborhoods, you can just tell.
There are long-standing issues with race and class in Philadelphia that begin at the founding of Philadelphia. Obviously, there were slaveholders in Philadelphia, but when you look at that trajectory over the course of history, you've seen that because of the class issues like working class whites versus formerly enslaved Africans, or working class whites and working class blacks versus immigrant populations coming into the city. Those tensions have been ongoing for a long time and still today in a lot of ways remain unresolved.
In Philly is pretty interesting because of the sort of racial divide that exists there that a lot of people aren't necessarily aware of. But growing up there my entire life and coming from more of an academic perspective, there are clear, visible divisions throughout the city. From a personal perspective, I've lived in North Philly for a very long time, and there are clear areas of the neighborhood that are distinctly white, and these racial lines have existed and continue to exist. The fact that closer to Kensington, there's a high drug population of, there's drug users, there's a lot of prostitution, and you see this a lot with whites because they're a part of that neighborhood. It's the same thing across all the different neighborhoods, but there are clear divisive barriers that separate these groups from sort of intermixing and intermingling in a way that really doesn't get seen a lot by people who just come to visit the city because these aren't their experiences growing up here.
I don't think that Philadelphia is different from many other major American cities. I mean, you could argue that it had a particular role in the Underground Railroad movement, so that created certain kinds of tensions. You could also argue that over time, it's a city that really embraced the labor movement, which means they had a lot of working class white citizens. And the powers that be in capitalism often try to pit working class whites versus poor blacks, and that's been a very, very effective strategy for a long time. And so the scars from all of that still maintain in the city of brotherly love.